excited to share valuable free resources with you today that I believe will not only benefit your students, but also lighten your load as you manage the many, many decisions and tasks that come along with teaching nowadays. I really, truly appreciate everything that you do. And I hope that these tools that we discussed today and these resources will help simplify your workflow and give you more time to focus on what really matters most, right? All right. So for today, we'll be exploring the Khan Academy platform together. We're going to start with the teacher dashboard and the newly added TEKS aligned courses, which also come with a downloadable printable teacher's guide. And we're also going to introduce you to Khanmigo, your AI-powered teaching assistant. And before we wrap up, we'll also go over some practical ways that you can start integrating Khan Academy into your classroom right away to complement your existing instruction and all of the great things that are already going on. So, we also have joining us today from Khan Academy, Jennifer and Aviv, who will be supporting by answering your questions in the chat. So please feel free to ask away. And as a reminder, we are recording this webinar. We will be sending it out to anyone who registers so that you can revisit this information anytime you need. And at the end, we'll also include the information of our help center where you can also get answers to your questions. So before we get started, I'd like to introduce your dedicated Khan Academy Texas team. We are all based right here in Texas and are committed to supporting districts and schools throughout our Khan Academy Districts program. Now, while districts do have the option to partner with us for additional benefits like automatic rostering, professional development, data and reporting, as well as ongoing implementation support, today we'll be focusing exclusively on the free resources that are always available to all educators. Oh, you know what? Went a slide too far back. So if we could just quickly check in with everyone, and if you could please drop a 1, 2, or 3 in the chat to let us know how familiar you are with Khan Academy. Where 1 means that you're just starting out, you haven't really ever been on the platform, don't really know much about it. 2 means that you have some experience, and 3 means that you're very familiar with our platform. So if you could just take a minute to please go ahead and drop that in the chat. And while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and talk to you a little bit about what is Khan Academy. And we are a nonprofit organization. Our mission is to provide free world-class education to anyone, anywhere. We do this through our online platform. We offer personalized learning experiences for students. Grades 2nd and up is the platform that we're going to be exploring today. We also have Khan Kids available as an app for our little ones. And we do focus on mastery learning, allowing students to progress at their own pace and ensuring that they fully understand each concept before moving on, because our goal is to empower learners and help them reach that grade level mastery and beyond. So I'd like to, before we go live into the platform, take a moment to explore this concept of mastery learning, which is at the cornerstone of Khan Academy and how Khan Academy is structured. As I said, we embrace mastery learning, this approach, because it ensures that students fully understand a skill or concept before they move on to the next one. And this method not only fosters a deep understanding, but it also is supported by robust evidence, showing its effectiveness in improving those the long-term retention of skills and knowledge. Um, and it does this by providing thorough understanding in combination with timely feedback and pacing that is appropriate for the learner and where that learner is at, while embedding those strategic scaffolds along the way. And especially here in Texas, this type of approach is essential for success on assessments like STAR, TSIA2, and of course the SAT for our high schoolers as well. So to illustrate this further, let's take a look at this brief video that explains mastery learning in more detail.
Have you ever really tried to learn something and you just couldn't? It can make you feel like you're not so smart, right? Well, it's not your fault, and it's not your teacher's fault. It's just our traditional approach to learning. We go through school and we accumulate gaps. You're a bit shaky on pre-algebra, but you move on to algebra anyway. By the time you get to calculus, you've got lots of gaps. If enough gaps build up, you eventually hit a wall. Calculus makes no sense, and that can be frustrating. But what if there were a different way to learn? That's mastery learning. Unlike traditional learning, where all students move in lockstep, with mastery learning, you go at your own pace. You progress through questions at just the right level for you. If you get 50% right the first time, it's not a big deal. Try as many times as you need. Get feedback as you learn, and help when you need it. Teachers can track your progress, identify any gaps, and give you one-on-one attention. Decades of research shows mastery learning works. Now you have the tools to make it possible. Are you ready to learn anything?
All right. So now we're going to go ahead and switch over so that we can do some of the fun exploring right on the platform. All right, let's go ahead and switch over to the platform, and there we are. All right. So we're going to go ahead and start. Once you log in, you create your account, you will see this teacher dashboard. Depending on whether or not you've added classes, you may or may not see this class section, but we're going to go through how you can add courses. The first thing you want to do is you want to come here to the Explore section. The Explore section is going to give you this drop down that has the list of all of our course offerings that are available to you and to your students. As you can see, we offer a wide range of courses. Couple things that I want to note here, the SAT, the digital SAT test prep courses, these have been widely utilized across the US for many years because we are the official partners with College Board. So with the digital SAT, they or yourselves could come here. We have the digital SAT math. We also have the digital SAT reading and writing as two separate courses. The domains are broken into foundations, and then the questions get harder with the medium level, and then all the way into advanced. So that is one that I wanted to make sure to point out because it is very popular here in Texas with our teachers and our students. All of the courses are designed to complement your grade level instruction. So they offer activities that encourage students to think deeply. They can access various instructional materials within the courses to help scaffold that learning and help support them as they go through the practices and the exercises. These include videos, the famous videos by Sal Khan that I'm sure a lot of you have already heard in the past. It also includes articles, and there are also opportunities to check for understanding through quizzes, unit tests. We also have course challenges that can be done 3 times a year if you'd like, as a beginning of year, middle of year, end of year checkpoint. And those course challenges are going to they're 30 questions, about 30 to 45 minutes, and they're going to give students a sprinkling of questions for the whole course, right? So again, there's definitely various ways that students and can check for understanding, and you as teachers can have data and reports on how your students are doing. Additionally, our content is also available in 24 languages, which this is, I think, an incredible feature and resource, especially for our emergent bilingual students, right? So if you have emergent bilingual students that maybe you would like them to see the content in their native language to help support what you're doing in the classroom as they transition to English. This is another option that you can do as well, assign to those students and have them go through the content in their native language. So in addition to browsing by course, as you see here, you can also, for math only, you can browse by standards. So if you come up here to browse by standards and select Texas, you now see that we have alignment from grades 2nd through 8th, Algebra 1, Algebra 2, Geometry, Pre-Calc, Mathematical Models with Applications, Advanced Quantitative Reasoning, Discrete Mathematics for Problem Solving, and Algebraic Reasoning. I'm just going to go ahead and select Algebra 1 to give you an example of what this looks like. So here you will see by standard, the standard is written out, and then you have a list of all the resources and activities that can be assigned to students to help support that standard. So if you know this is something that you're going to be teaching and you want to maybe use one of our videos as an opening to your lesson and show it whole group, or maybe you want to, strategically assign it to your students for them to complete it during independent class time or homework. This is another way that you can access the content so that it aligns to your scope and sequence and to what's happening in your classroom. Here on the left-hand side, you can see all of the courses that this is available for. You can always open up the drop down so that you're able to see the standards that are aligned and the activities that go along with it. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and shift over to our new Texas TEKS courses. We're going to go ahead and take a little bit of a deeper dive into those. And thanks to the Open Doors Project and a generous donation that was provided by the ExxonMobil Foundation, our content team has created courses just for Texas that align to the TEKS for math in grades 5 through 8, also Algebra 1, as well as high school biology, high school chemistry, and high school physics. And with the continued support of ExxonMobil, we do have plans next year to expand these Texas courses to include third and fourth grade math, as well as Algebra 2, geometry, pre-calc, middle school chemistry, and integrated sciences 6th through 7th grade. And then there are plans to add even more courses for 26, 27. So definitely, be on the lookout for those as those get added to our platform. So now I'm going to go ahead and just select one of these courses. I'm going to go ahead and go into 5th grade Texas TEKS because there are a number of additional resources that you're going to find exclusively in these Texas TEKS courses that was done as part of the work that the ExxonMobil grant was able to provide Khan Academy. So when you open the courses, all of our courses, does not matter what grade level or what subject, they're all going to visually look the same, and they're all going to structurally look and feel the same, right? The flow is going to be the same. We're going to have the units for that course on the left-hand side. You, as the teacher, are able to go to each of these unit and again assign at the course level, at the unit level, or by individual activities, as you saw earlier with the videos and the articles. Now, here you have these white boxes, right? And the white boxes represent skills. A white box is a skill that has not been started yet, right? A student has not interacted with any type of content for that particular skill. And once the student clicks on the box or the skill and starts their practice, it's going to take them through exercises that have embedded many times the specific video or article that will help support them, right? So if they're in the problem and they just, they're kind of struggling, they don't remember, instead of them having to go, back through the list of units or exercises available, the platform has already, linked for them here a related content video or article that they can quickly access. It will open in a new window so that the student can get that just-in-time support they need as they're working through these exercises. Once students complete exercises and or quizzes or unit tests, these boxes are going to get one of these 4 colors. They're either going to get a like burnt orange, a lighter orange, a lavender purple, or a dark purple with a crown. So when they get this burnt orange color box, right? It means that when the students engaged in problems or quizzes, tests, etc., with that particular skill, they got less than 70% of those questions correctly. In a familiar, in a light orange, they got 70% or more correct within that skill. If you see the lavender, right, the proficient, then that means that they got 100% of the questions correct when practicing a skill, when practicing that skill. Now you might say to yourself, wait a minute, but if that's 100%, then what could possibly be mastered? So mastered is when they see that skill, they're assessed on that skill in context with other skills, right? So it's a mixed skill assessment and they still get 100% of the questions for that skill correct. So in proficient, they're at 100%, but that skill is being assessed in isolation. With mastery, they get 100% of that skill correct, but they're seeing that skill mixed in with other skills. So it's a little bit more difficult because it's now out of context. So what we want to see and what we want to aim for, right? What our research shows is that students that can reach these purples, at least 2 purples per week, so 2 skills, 2 proficiency per week, are going to be on track to accelerate their learning by at least 35%. And in many cases, we see, much bigger, even bigger gains than that. So as you're thinking about, those student data chats and assigning goals and really trying to engage your students in purposeful learning, what you really want to aim for are for students to level up to these purples, skills to proficient, at least 2 per week. And a common question that we sometimes get from educators is, well, how long do the students need to be on the platform, right? So with Khan Academy, again, mastery learning is our cornerstone. It's not about time. It's really about the learning that's happening. And so it's difficult to say, give you an exact amount of time. However, what our research has shown is that it typically takes students anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes per week to reach that minimum of 2 skills, 2 proficiency. So, you want to think about, again, everybody learns at a different pace, and there may be skills that, they're much more adept in than others. So a good time frame to have in your mind is providing opportunities for 30 to 60 minutes per week. And again, that can look a variety of different ways. It can be assigned as independent classwork. It can be assigned as homework, but definitely giving students an opportunity to engage weekly on the platform. All right, before I move on, are there any questions in the chat, Jennifer, Aviv, that we should address whole group?
No, we're good at this time. Thank you, Frances.
Awesome, excellent. Okay, so with that, I want to go ahead and dive into these special teacher resources that are part of the Texas TEKS courses. You can access them right here from the home dashboard under Check Out Our Teacher Resources. You can also access them at the very end of the left-hand nav menu here under Teacher Resources. And once you select that, it's going to take you to this landing page, which is going to give you a guide on how to use the teacher guides, right? But it's also going to give you access to these downloadable and printable guides that are organized by unit, right? So I'm going to go ahead and open up Unit 1, Extending Whole Number Operations. It gives you the standards that this guide is going to cover. Once you click on that PDF, it is going to provide you with objectives, strategies. It's going to give you common misconceptions. It's going to it's going to link you out to any resources that are referenced. Once we scroll down into the actual unit resources, right? And again, these are all going to align to the content that's on Khan. So it's going to tell you here not only the objective and the teaching tips to help you as you're lesson planning and as you're delivering this instruction in your whole group, but it's also going to tell you how many videos are available, how many articles, and how many exercises to support that particular lesson and standard. And you're also going to have a best practices section. It's going to walk you through with very specific examples, as well as like verbiage on how to think through this, teach this, support this in your classroom, and give you also links to additional general implementation resources that you can use to support these standards and this unit and these lessons in your classroom. So I'm going to go ahead and go back here. I'm going to go ahead and just select this unit just so that, again, you can kind of see how it's structured. So now instead of seeing all the boxes for all the skills and the entire course, which are 161 skills, you see that information here underneath grade 5 Texas TEKS. Again, all the courses will have that. Now I'm only seeing for that specific unit how many skills are available. So here students would work through these 3 and then have a quiz after those exercises, right? For that skill, then they're going to work through this skill. There's two exercises, and then they'll take a quiz. And that is how it's repeated, right? These little lightning icons represent quizzes after each skill. And at the very end of the unit, they're going to take the unit test, which is going to give them questions from each of the skills that they worked through in the unit. Again, the really great thing about Khan is that you as the teacher have the flexibility to assign course mastery goals. So if you want to, make sure that the students have a goal to get through the whole course by the end of the year, you can do that. You can assign by unit if you want to chunk the material for them and have it aligned to your scope and sequence, because maybe unit 1 for you is going to be something that you're teaching in January. So that's okay. You can assign these units out of order, however they best fit with your scope and sequence and what you're doing in the classroom to help support you. You're always going to have access to the assign button. From there, you're going to be able to assign at the class level. So if you want to assign it to all students, or if you want to assign it to a select group of students, you're also able to do that. And you're able to, with anything, also give specific due dates. And that's what would create that assignment, so that the students then see that information on their dashboards when they log in as students. All right. Let's see. From here, I'm going to go ahead and go back. One thing that here, like I said, you can assign the course. Again, you would be able to select your class and your students. There's a way that you can provide a link to students so that students can link their accounts to your class. And with that, some of the additional benefits of adding that information is that you will get data, and you will get information on how your students are doing based on things that you have assigned to your class and to your students. All right, so we're going to go ahead now and shift over to Khanmigo. Very, very excited to share with you all things Khanmigo because this is the new AI-powered teaching assistant that has been integrated into Khan Academy to help support you as teachers in not only instructional pieces, but also administrative tasks that we know teachers are asked to do as part of their everyday workload. So we're going to look at different ways that you can leverage Khanmigo to help you. So there's a couple of ways that you can access Conmigo. I'm going to show you first one way, and then we'll look at the second way that you can do that. The first way is Conmigo is always going to be hovering here on the lower right-hand corner, anywhere you are in the platform, right? So if you wake Conmigo up and initiate Conmigo from one of our courses or from somewhere in the platform, it is going to automatically know where you are, right? So the prompts that it's going to give you are going to be specific to wherever you are on the platform. So I'm going to say that I'm in algebraic reasoning. I know that this is coming up. I'm trying to kind of think through what to do. I can open Conmigo and I can go ahead and ask it questions directly, or I can use one of these automated prompts, and Conmigo will go ahead and give me information based on what I ask it. One thing that I want to point out, a couple of things here, you're going to see this battery. Right now it says that I'm at 95%. I've been using it quite a bit today. Conmigo does run on something called AI tokens. And so it is sort of like a battery, right? There's a 24-hour limit. We've never seen the battery run out, at least not up to this point. And we work with Conmigo every day. But just in case, we want to just make sure that you guys are aware of that. And it's like Cinderella. It resets it resets nightly. So no worries if you're ever low, it's okay. The next day you're back to 100%. The other thing that I want to point out for you are these leave feedback buttons. You can either leave us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and that'll be the end of that. Or you can click on where it says leave feedback, and you can be a little bit more detailed with the type of feedback that you provide. There's actually somebody on our team that this is her job is to analyze this feedback. So this does not go somewhere in a cloud or to a robot or something that nobody ever sees. Like this feedback actually goes to a human person on our, at the Khan Academy team, whose job is to make sure that we are making, improvements, and that we're constantly ensuring that Conmigo is doing what it needs to do. So please, don't ever hesitate to reach out to us via the leave feedback. Now, I want to go ahead and go into an actual lesson, right? So here I'm in understanding factor pairs. Again, I can open up Conmigo. As you can see, now that I'm in a specific skill, Conmigo's prompts have changed. Now Conmigo is giving me the option to summarize this video, help me explain this video, suggest an engaging activity that will pair with this skill, or help me write a lesson plan. Or again, I can ask it any open-ended question that I want. However, there are also other things you can do. You can come here, right, to the very, very top where it says assign, lesson hook, exit ticket, lesson plan, and then there's even an option for more tools. And what we've done here is we've already put front and center the tools that we know teachers use the most when engaging with specific exercises and skills lessons, right? So most of the time, teachers want to be able to create a lesson hook for a lesson, or an exit ticket, or a lesson plan specific to this standard and skill. So you can automatically, right from that specific skill or lesson, click on lesson hook, and it's going to already populate for you the information, right, from that particular skill or lesson that you were in. And you can go ahead and click on write some lesson hooks, and Kamigo is going to go ahead and provide 3 different ideas for you to use as a lesson hook for understanding factor pairs. Now, of course, you are the teacher. This is an assistant. This is a resource for you. If there is something that you don't like about this, or it didn't really, fit with what you were wanting, you're able to interact with Kamigo, right? So you can click here to the little purple, it'll highlight that section, and you can ask Kamigo. You can say, make changes to this, and you can tell Kamigo what kind of changes you want it to make. Or you can say, no, I don't like this at all. Go ahead and, give me a different idea. Give me something else. Or you can discuss this with Kamigo. Maybe you have questions about it, right? You can go ahead and open up the discuss this and discuss it with Kamigo. You can also make changes directly on here. I want to add an extension to this. So you can go ahead and make changes. You can delete. This is for you to make it your own. Once you're happy with whatever you have, you can print it. You have the option to print any of the resources that you get from the Kamigo tools. You can also export. You can export to a Microsoft Word. You can export to a PDF. You can save it to Google Drive, and you can also save it to Microsoft OneDrive. In addition to that, there's like a cloud built in, and it's called My Documents, and it will save anything that you do on Kamigo tools here as well for you to access in the future. So there's multiple ways that you can save anything that you do with Kamigo. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you this lesson plan tool live because this is another very popular tool. Again, I'm opening it directly from a particular skill or lesson, so it's going to already auto-populate that. But you will see here shortly where you can put anything that you want on here, and it will give you a lesson plan. And I'll show you how to do that here in a few minutes. Now, with the lesson plan tool, I want you guys to think of this as a buffet. When we go to a buffet, there is absolutely no way that we can try and eat every single thing that's in the buffet because there's just so many options, right? We typically go, we look at what's available, and we select what we want and what is the most appetizing for us. Same thing with the lesson plan tool, right? It's always going to give you a very robust plan. You're going to have lots and lots of things to choose from. Again, you are able to interact with Kamigo at any point with whatever you've selected that you want to interact with it for. You're able to delete, you're able to add, you're able to print, export, save to the cloud, all of those great things. You're always going to have the objective. It's going to give you activities in the form of warm-ups, direct instruction. It's also going to give you guided practice. It's going to give you independent practice. It's going to give you exit ticket ideas. It's also going to give you differentiation for advanced. Here it gave me differentiation for advanced learners, striving learners. Maybe I have a lot of emergent bilingual students in my class. I can go ahead and ask it to give me ideas to support English learners. Whoops. And so Kamigo will go ahead and provide. Actually, I didn't highlight the whole thing, so I needed to highlight. Conmigo is going to go ahead and give me support for that. So what you want, there it is. There's the support for English learners. And the more information you can give Conmigo, the more refined and detailed it can be. So, and that's something that you will learn as you start using the tools. You also have here notable definitions, extension activities. It gives you links to ways that you can extend learning for students, things that you can go ahead and directly assign to your students. And then it gives you a lesson summary. So that's an example of the lesson plan tool. Now, remember I said that you could access Conmigo two different ways, directly from the content with the little Conmigo icon at the bottom right, but you can also come here to the very top menu where it says Conmigo, and you would click on Teacher Tools, and it's going to default here to all the tools available. This can be a little bit overwhelming, so we're going to go ahead and chunk this out a little bit. I want us to look at these categories up at the top. So we have tools in purple that are going to specifically support your planning. We have tools color-coded in green that are going to specifically support when you're having to create things. Like, for example, maybe you want to do a class newsletter. This is one of my favorite ones, especially because it will translate the newsletter for you, definitely in Spanish and Portuguese, because Conmigo is trilingual in Portuguese and Spanish. And it's, let's just say he's conversational in other languages, but so you may be able to get some translations in other languages. However, the Spanish and Portuguese are going to be the ones that are going to have that accuracy to where you could, you could send without errors. Here you would, give the name of your class. You would, you could just quickly paste or put something in about what you did last week, what's coming up next week. I'm just going to say, something very quickly. Obviously, the more details you put, the better it is going to be. And then maybe I'm going to put here, I want to do a field trip reminder. It'll write the newsletter. And again, you would be able to translate from here. You would be able to export, print directly, or save it to your preferred method. With the create tools, you also have things like letters of recommendations. If we have any high school teachers on the webinar, I know that that's something that can be quite popular in the spring with some of your, or fall and spring with some of your students. You can generate multiple choice quizzes, English teachers, science teachers, any project-based learning, rubric generator. This rubric generator will go ahead and create a rubric for you based on what you give it. You're also able to, especially again, supporting your emergent bilingual students, or maybe students that have an IEP and certain accommodations. Clear directions is another great tool to help support that. Here, with these red tools, you have the differentiation. You can chunk text. Leveler will adjust the complexity of any given text. We've tried it out. I've tried it out with, things as complex as the Declaration of Independence, to, short stories, poems, etc. So Leveler is another one. Make it relevant. Here's one that I have put as a favorite of mine. Because, we're always trying to connect and build relationships with our students, right, in our classrooms. So here you can go ahead and, put in your standard or your objective or whatever it is that you're going to be teaching, and then, you know, using maybe like a class interest survey or what you already know about your class, you can say, you know, linear, let's see, maybe that, you know, your class is really into the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know. I mean, I feel like the Dallas Cowboys have lost popularity lately, but and then it will go ahead and connect, right, that skill or that concept of linear equations with the Dallas Cowboys so that you're able to, you know, hook and engage your students accordingly. All right, let's see. Support. These blue tools help support this IEP assistant. Here's another example of the way that you know, you could again leverage Conmigo to help support your ARD meetings or help support you in preparation for ARD meetings. Again, this is not meant to replace you or replace what you are writing, but simply to help, because remember, you know, Conmigo may have access to research and ideas that maybe, you know, we as an ARD committee do not. So it will never ask for any kind of identifying information on a student, but basically by providing information on these prompts, you would be able to get recommendations and suggestions for Conmigo that may be something you may find helpful to incorporate into a student's 504 plan or IEP. Smart Goal Writer, this I would highly recommend as you're creating your T-test goals. This could help support you in writing those. And here with Learn, you have Refresh My Knowledge. And with Refresh My Knowledge, if maybe you're new to the grade level, new to the content area, new to teaching, Conmigo can kind of help you refresh, you know, the knowledge for maybe teaching that linear equations lesson. So this is Conmigo. I'm going to go ahead and pause in case there are any questions that have come in or anybody has any questions that they'd like to drop in the chat before we go back to our slides.
We're all good, Frances. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So now we would like to wrap up with some ideas for implementation. So here you have sort of a matrix on good, better, and best ways to implement Khan Academy. As a reminder, you know, those 2 skills to proficient per week is what we really want, you know, to aim for students. You know, some schools may encourage students to go through the course on their own and, you know, like at home as homework during maybe advisory or when. Others and other teachers may decide to incorporate and integrate Khan and have it, you know, in the classroom and have it be a part of like structured time that's given to students. You know, we have found that the most effective approach includes completing the course challenges because that's going to kind of give you a baseline and the student a baseline of where they are for that course. Again, that's recommended 3 times per year, beginning, middle, end. Setting those mastery goals. Again, you can set it at the course level, right? Assign the course because you want the students to work through the content of that course throughout the school year. Or you can decide to set, in addition to a course mastery goal, you also could set unit goals, right? That align to your scope and sequence. You want to always, you know, encourage students to track their progress and for them to understand, you know, what they're working towards. In our dashboard, actually, I'm going to go ahead and quickly just go back because I want to share with you that you do have access to printable resources that you can use to leverage the implementation. So here, under, whoops, excuse me, in your main dashboard, in your main teacher dashboard, you are able to, I think I just froze my, trying to switch over. You have access to resources, and right here under resources, this is where you would access the documents, right, for Conmigo that we talked about, that cloud. You also have access to all of these printable resources, and they're organized by topic for you. And then if you are wanting to learn more about how to get started for Khan, you also have this Getting Started with Khan for Educators that will show you how to add courses, how to add goals, how to, look at your reports and the data. And you also have this Conmigo for Educators where you can get certified. You'll get a certificate at the end of that course, so that you are able to leverage that as well. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and switch back to the slide. And I know that we've been monitoring the chat for questions. If there's no questions at this time, I'm going to go ahead and leave you all with our social media and our help center information. We have lots and lots of blog articles that you can type in a question and it should take you to how-tos and directions on how to do things. In addition to those self-paced courses that I showed you, you could also access on the platform. We'd love to have you also join our Khan Academy Facebook group. So that link is available for you there as well. And the last link is a blog article that has videos specific to Conmigo and Conmigo teacher tools that you're able to access. They're very brief, short, and engaging, and will help you use Conmigo. All right. That is our presentation. We hope that this was helpful for all of you. And we look forward to continuing our partnership and continuing to be able to provide educators and teachers with resources that can hopefully help both students and teachers. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. Take care. Bye-bye.